Well. Hello there. It's Eldor, or the Masterversal-Toyhunter here. Yes, sir. I was standing at the great eye of the universe, and I thought, why not make my own custom figure, for better or worse? Come with me, and let's see what things we can make with our creativity. Ooh, well, don't just stand there. Come on down. And so, with our tools and materials gathered, what figure shall we make with a little magic? Let's see. A bit of this. A bit of that.
Look out, man.
And maybe some kick. Oh dear. And I think some of this will do the trick. Yes, sir. So, no matter if it's night or day, come rain or shine. I think it's a good day for some custom figure time. Indeed. Oh, hello there, everybody. It's Eldor here, or the Masterversal-Toyhunter. And so, yes, welcome once again, all you YouTubers and fellow Tonians. So, yes, I've got another little a wee side project I've been working on of recent that I thought I might talk a little about. And yes, I've got a little a part of the process of how I'm going about that I'll show also. But yes, I suppose we've all finished watching the Masters of the Universe Revolution series there, coming off the ending of Revelation, of course. And so yes, one of the characters that we saw there was Granamyr, of course, one of the wise dragons of Eternia. And yes, so I thought I would have a go at making a sort of I wouldn't go so far as an action figure, but more like your 2000X Statshins type figures that had a little bit of articulation, but not very much. We're more or less little statue type action figures there. And so I thought I might use a similar approach in making my Revolution Granamyr project. So yes, I started off something similar. If you've seen Sculpting when he's building his Snake Mountain playsets, the bigger playsets that he makes for people and so forth. And he's currently building on his third one, I believe, for another fellow there. And so he's just finished his part 8 of that build. But usually when he starts, sculpting the snake wrap around of the mountain there, he'll start off with a bit of wire mesh and sort of bend it all into shape and what have you, and have that winding around his bigger mountain structure that he builds out of the insulation foam. And so yes, I usually go around doing a similar thing with regards to building the structure and what have you on some of my projects, but I use a different kind of wire in making the body of my Granamyr. So without further ado, I thought I'd bring in what I have there so far. And here we are. And so yes, you can see here I've started off with building the main body of that Granamyr out of various gauges of wire and so forth. And yes, some areas I had to, bend some wire around to lock everything in place, and to avoid it from moving, of course, I used a masking tape to keep the wires from shifting about and what have you. But you can use other things like a thinner wire there, or maybe some string if you've got it. And yes, just using the masking tape there, I located all the different wire connections there, so you can see roughly here there's some wire bent around, so it was roughly looking like that first before I covered over with the masking tape. But yes, you can also use a wire in some needle felting projects when you make animals and so forth, to give them a nice sturdy inner structure before you start adding in all the wool and going about with the needle felting needle to weave and thicken up the wool and what have you, and he'll colour it in and so forth, and just general shaping of the wool, and you can, with the beauty of wire, of course, is you can bend it into different forms, so you can do your rearing up horse poses and whatnot. And so yes, I went around there, just the main body and tail of Granamyr there. The thicker wire gauges, of course, I used on the main spine or top of the body there. It's more of a stronger wire, you might say. And I used it, of course, when I was making the locations for the legs there. So there's a lot more stronger wire there, and of course supports holding that area out. Alright, so yes, and we've come to the top of the head there, and I've playing off the idea of those little rolly ball deodorant things, and so this seemed a rather clever looking wee device there, and I cut a little bit of the bottle off, and you notice there's a little support in there that stops the rolly ball from being pushed in, and so I using a bit of the wire support there, I have a little bit in there pushing that forward just to give a bit more tension on the ball, but as I've added more onto the head, it's of course become heavier, which is one thing you need to account for when you're doing such projects with articulation, that usually your parts are going to end up a bit more heavier the more you pile on there, and of course the more weight added in with the milliput epoxy putty there. So I started making the head similar to how I did the body there. Of course, a bit of a wire frame built up, which you see here. And so yes, I started pretty much weaving all the wire about there to make a bit of a head frame and what have you. And yes, I added some wire in there to punch into the wee rolly ball part itself to locate that in place. And I used two wire lengths in there just to give a bit of a stability, so the ball doesn't roll about on the one wire. So there's two holes I drilled on one side, using that sort of a partially visible seam that you get running around the ball middle there. So that was basically my locator line for drilling those holes. So I had two wires in there, and then just went in with the milliput and there a little just to strengthen that up. And yes, of course, after making the wire frame up, yes, I went around with the old masking tape there just to build out some of the form, similar to what I did on the wires that created the horns, of course, filling them out, the inner core out there, so not using too much milliput, and because it is indeed expensive stuff, and you can make it go a long way the more you you fill out your inner core form, but you have to be wary of not to make the inner core too to size, because you have to account for the added thickness of the milliput that you'll be sculpting over top. And what I'm saying is a lot of planning you have to do on if you might where you're going to put the eyes and any articulation like in the jaw and so forth. And so we'll be doing a little bit of work on this today, filling out the other side there with some tin foil and masking tape. And yes, so the idea basically was to make use of the rollerball mechanism of the deodorant bottle there, so you get your articulation going on. But of course, as I mentioned before, the more you add to, because you've got the weight of the wire and the milliput, you get that sort of droop going on, unless you can make some sort of ratchet mechanism on the inside there to catch it there, which is usually what these toy smiths do for toys that have heavier parts that you want to stay in place and so forth. But it's not too bad, and plus with the added well, I guess you'd call them whiskers that he has, and a bit of more filling out here, most of that droop won't droop any further. Oh yes, that is and that is that. So yes, today we're going to do a bit of filling in with the masking tape of the jaw piece that I've prepared here. And of course I want to have his whiskers to articulate, so I've got some a loose wire here. This is looped around the side supports for the jaw there. And I just made a bit of a spine piece using 2 bits of wire just to keep them in place, So I have to be careful how we go about filling that. And of course I have the old expanding foam, so I'm going to try out some of that. I see Sculpting also uses in his playset projects here. So yes, you see we have one side here just roughly filled out with a bit of inner core on this side of the head. So we're going to be building up to the horns, but on this side here, and filling in, making the brow to fill in this side. And we might look at getting my whiskers out of the way, speaking of which. We might look at filling some more out there, and then taking a look at this expanding foam business. So you can see I've got the horns all sculpted there. So it pays to, if you want to do much detail in your milliput work, to do it when the putty's still relatively soft. Of course, you have about an hour's working time, I believe. Heat temperature of the room, depending, of course. Usually, the hotter, the faster these things tend to set on you. So yes, it pays to do your different scratches or gouges or detail works. And if the detail work is fairly rough, of course you can sand it later when it's all nice and hardened and set and so forth. So yes, we have the horns there, and got some scrape marks, been in the walls and what have you. So there's a bit of that, and some aging cracks, going up the horns there. And yeah, so let's get cracking there, I think. And so here we go. We've got some. We're going to use some tin foil there in this today, because it's good to make different filling shapes and what have you. And also we have some masking tape there that we use to cover over everything, to attach it all on and help keep its shape and so forth. So yes, we have all that there. And next we have some old cardboard there of some packaging that we're going to use to make a sort of a masking cut-off. Because we don't want the expanding foam to go over sculpting work of the horns, but it will come up to about maybe just up to about there, I suppose. So you have a bit of a stop there, so the foam hopefully doesn't go any further. But yes, you can add more expanding foam onto different areas, or cover up holes, air holes there that might form inside the foam, similar to what you see a Sculpting do, with all those little bubble bits hanging off all the main foam work that he's done there after he's carved that down, and I believe he fills in all the wee holes there with little bits more of the foam there and so forth. So yes, we have all that there, and we've got our box cutter and power to help us cut out that, and a pencil, of course, to help us draw all the different masking stops and so forth. Well, you can use also use a bit of masking tape there to help mask off areas you don't want the foam sticking to. Of course, so you can coat it around there with the masking tape, and when you're at the when you're carving into the foam stage, you have to be careful. Of course, you want to carve into something you don't want scraped up any more than is already sculpted, I suppose. And yes, so it'll provide a bit of a separation barrier between your good areas and the expanding foam, maybe. So yes, we have that, and of course, yes, we have the Gorilla, Pro expanding foam there. Yes, it's got all this interesting gadgetry attached to it. Yes. So I suppose all that attaches to the nozzle there, and all you see the foam shooting out and all sorts. Yeah. All right. So yeah. And once again, let's get cracking into it then. And so let's carry on with getting the Granamyr's head prepared on this side. So I'm going to make up that side of the brow form over on this side, and yes, also work up that sort of lead up to the horns, where they come out of the skin, I suppose. And yes, we'll have to work out a bit of a wire frame for the ears to get them nice and stable, of course. And yes, also he has two long type whiskers that come off from the top of the head there and sort of droop between his teeth. So we need a bit of a wire there to give a bit of strength and substance to those parts, because usually your sculpting putty is usually, while quite strong, it can be prone to snapping if it's in a considerable thin or long length. And so yes, we'll sort of that later, but right now we're going to rip into some tinfoil here. And so we're just going to rip a bit of the end off, like so. We don't need all that, so yes, we'll just rip that in half again. And yes, just going to roll it up there, just sort of a bit of a squarish roll up right there, and then we can just sort of bunch it all out. This is going to help us start out on filling the bit of the skin that comes out from the back, where the horns come out of. So yes, this just helps to, of course, fill out for the any sculpting that goes over top, and provide a bit of support for that. Sometimes you can just use masking tape, but if you don't want to waste too much masking tape, then tinfoil is the right stuff for that sort of job. And then you're only using a little bit of masking tape there, you see, to, of course, stick everything on and yes, provide a bit of support for keeping everything in place, as well as the masking tape is good for materials to adhere to, much like Miller put in the old expanding foam there. Of course, sometimes if you're sculpting onto just straight out metal with the putty, you'll find the putty will move around. It gets quite annoying there on the wire, and you don't get an even coverage around. But if you use, let's say, a bit of masking tape wrapped around the wire there, and quite a little bit of a thickness, it'll stop all that putty from moving around. It'll grab onto the surface much better. Alright, so now we've got that, we're going to pop that around, just around the outside there. So, yes, it's good seeing Granamyr back in the show of Masters of the Universe on the Netflix series, and this time in Revolution there. We had Tila go off to see him, or Sorceress Tila rather, to see about getting more power there to bring back Pretonia. She got to have a place to go when you bite the dust, you know. So yes, I had Granamyr there, played by John Delancey, rather. Yes, the old fellow that played Q on the Star Trek there. Always telling Mon Capitan Picard to go back to whence thou camest, and what have you. He's a bit of a trickster there for the Enterprise crew at times. But yes, he did the voice work for Granamyr. See? He did that well there, was putting the lower life forms in their place, as it were. And yes, so we've got that little bit of a bump around the base there, where we want to build that sort of fleshy form. Alright, so we get this other piece here, and so just we might get some masking tape there, just to hold things in place. Now you want to try and get it roughly the same angle as I've achieved on that side. Oh, very fiddly work, yes. Let's just, yes, put it about there, I think. There we go, we've got our masking tape all having that attached on there. There we go. There's the start of our base, and we'll get a bit more wrapped around there. And so this time you don't have to be rolling up stuff as much. You just sort of mold the tin foil to make that bit of a platform there. Just fold it over. and as you might, a bit hard to define, but got quite a bit more jutting out there and around the side, so try and roughly keep to that shape there. So yes, tinfoil is a rather nice stuff to keeps its shape there much better. But of course you can do that with masking tape as well, folding the tape over halfway and having a little bit of a sticky portion there to attach it and what have you, and then just build up on the masking tape. Alright, so we're going to start covering all that work up with the masking tape there. And yes, just rip that down the middle there to make finer strips. He doesn't want to let go. But anyway, we've got the finer the strip is, the easier it is to get around some details. So yes, we'll just pop a little bit of that around there. And we've got that nicely secured like. But yes, once you've got your tinfoil form there, the masking tape helps to keep everything, in its place and in shape there. You can also use tinfoil for things like in cosplay, if you want to duplicate a smaller form that you need to enlarge, because the tinfoil is good at, keeping within all the different details and what have you. And using the smallest cut strips of masking tape, it's easier to work around those finer details. But usually, bigger the object is, the easier it is to make a pattern of it, and so forth. Because yes, the thicker stuff is usually hard to put into all the different creases and angles and what have you. So just got a bit there to secure that bit of tinfoil there. And then once you've got everything covered up, probably about 2 or 3 layers of masking tape, you can draw your little cut lines. Design your cut lines, or for places that need folding, do dotted lines. So you're not supposed to cut those up in the pattern. And those lines are usually for creating your V-bends in the EVA foam, where you cut a little way into the foam at the back, so the area that faces inside the mask, for say, and yes, so those areas there you cut, and then you cut angle on the other side, so you create that sort of bend effect on the outside of the foam. But mainly you design your cut lines to cut the shell that you're the sort of tinfoil shell that you're left with like that, and you cut it up, and then you're able to flatten the template out to make your templates out of the shell form. Alright, so use a bit of thicker masking tape at this time. Have a little bit to attach, a little bit of stickiness surface there to attach to the lower area, and just sort of work that all around there. You're likely to get some fold in the tape, but then you can cover over with more if you like, but we don't need to worry about it because we won't see it once we've put the sculpting material over top there. Alright, so there's not so much of a sticking out point there, so we'll dent in that a little bit. Now I've got to tackle this masking tape down there. Very sticky stuff. It's getting myself to a rather sticky situation there. In other words. Right, just pat all that down there. And by adding more masking tape there, you can better shape the form. Just sort of lightly folding it around. And we want to get ourselves roughly something similar to that. So yes, masking tape is fairly manipulatable there. And yes, you can grow as much of a platform as you like using the old masking tape. And yes, there we go. We've got the a nice fill out there of that area of the head where the horns start growing out of. But so we're going to fill in a bit more there to fill in that gap using some tin foil. So yes, just roughly get that into a sort of a bit of a thicker roll up there. We can get to wrap around. Yes, tin foil is good stuff. Too for making rock formations. You know, for say just you know, ask the wife first. And then yes, you can coat it in the masking tape there, and then add some sort of sculpting medium over top. But the point of the inner core is to not use up so much of your sculpting material. Make it spread out a bit more better. Because you know it's not cheap stuff. Sometimes the old depending on what you want to use there, you with your epoxy putties or maybe car body fillers, or I believe some clays are cheaper than others, and what have you. So yes, just using it to let the materials spread out a bit more better. And you know, ripping your masking tape into thinner areas, which makes it easier to move it around various objects and obstacles. And not so easy to get off the roll at times, though. So yes, a little bit more fuller, like we have on this side now. And of course, you can use things like an old popsicle stick there. You know, press stuff down to try and get a similar shape there. But yes, you can manipulate the tinfoil. You know, your finger, pressing it with your finger, getting it to the shape you want, or some bit of stick or something. So we're just about done there with as far as building up towards the horns go. And yes, you can also use your tinfoil to make various raised details like bumps and so forth. You can do a similar thing with paper mache. You roll up some toilet paper or newspaper, toilet paper, paper mache is usually a bit more interesting than say your newspaper stuff, because toilet paper is very fine, and of course when you get it wet it tends to break down quite easily. So please have a bit of a jar of water there beside you and a paintbrush, and you dab the paintbrush in the water, and you get a bit of separation from the brush and the glue, because with the glue of course being quite sticky, it tends to cause the brush to stick to the toilet paper, and you get it all damaging the toilet paper. Just becomes like a pulp, very wet and delicate pulp that tends to break up. So yes, having the water there to dip your brush in, and you sort of pat it down. You'll notice when things start to fight you, then you just dip the brush back in the water again, and you usually find that that helps you to lay down the yes, doesn't all lift off, and you find it easier to apply the toilet paper mache, but newspaper is like when we go with the Eternos Times there, is rather more stronger. That when you use paper mache and what have you, we use it with paper mache. Right there. Okay, so we got our form made up around towards the horns there. We can move on to working up the brow form. And yes, when I was creating my skeletal structure out of the wire there, I sort of made it thin with the side supports in the middle to account for his eyes, looking forward or what have you. And we got all this sort of inner gappage there, created by weaving the masking tape in and out of the wire framing. So thinking about all that form when you are making up your wire structure there, of what might be going inside it and so forth. Right, let's work on this brow side. I'll just take a tin foil there once again and just tear it in half, because we'll use one bit to make the sort of the brow line a curvature shape, and just a bit of a flattened a rolled up part to build up a bit of a surface there. Right, so just shape a bit of a brow ridge of sorts. Alright, so you've got you might find you have to check your shape against the object, see if you're getting everything as right as you want it to be. And yes, we're going to start sculpting just around the base mark there. Just give it a bit of a pinch of salt, you might say. Try and line it up with the side as best as we can, and just sort of hold it on round to the other side, and we'll get some masking tape to hold that in place. Anyway, get a bit of their masking tape to hold it up at the top while we start shaping the tinfoil. You'll notice on the Granamyr cartoon or animation, there's quite a few ridges there leading up to the middle of his forehead. So we can create quite a bit of rise there. Just use the masking tape to hold that all in place. Of course, when you go sculpting over, it's all going to be different, but at least you get an idea or a map of sorts, where roughly all the different bumps and imperfections or whatever, wherever that goes. So we want to just sort of fold it around there to make a sort of raised platform. And we, of course, the brow line won't be quite as thin, because you'll have a bit of the forehead form coming up in between his brows. So, in actual fact, when you go sculpting, his brow line might start, from about there, and they go around, of course. Yes, it's always hard replicating shapes on the other sides of things. Alright, so yes, we've got a rough base there to start us off. It's a different shape, of course, because we're going to roll up some tin foil to make our sort of brow shape there. But yes, there we are so far. There we go, almost done there. Secure the front of that tin foil down, and of course you can add as much tin foil as you like to fill a form out, if so desired. But usually easy to do all that stuff if you like I showed before, make little strips of masking tape or cut a series of strips on a hard top. Or if you need to, just make little tears in the masking tape to help it pat down a bit more thinner like. But for what it is, being an inner core, you don't have to go quite so fancy, I suppose. Right, so we are looking a bit mislevelled there, but of course that's where we're going to work in the rolled up brow line there with the tin foil. Yeah, so we're taking that and start rolling up our tin foil brow line. You're just measuring things up as you go. You probably want the thickest roll of the brow to be at the front. Almost there. You've got a bit of a tinfoil antenna there for your tinfoil hat. They're like old what's his name, Hicklefish on the White Files. And then you just sort of roughly duplicate that sort of brow line on the side you've done there, like so. And then just a matter of course it's not going to be in that finer shape. We're going to move it around there so it conforms better to the other side. So really the only points you need to manipulate are just a bit of a bend there at the front, and just as it sort of slopes down, just to get a bit of a bend there, but try to keep your rough form there for creating the shape on this other side. Alright, so now we're going to start attaching that brow piece on there. And just locate it somewhat with a bit of masking tape. So now you see we're a bit more leveled up there. So now we just start working the brow line around on the other side. And I'm just going to hold things front on while we match up as much of that same shape as possible. You might find when you're locating it that it might get a bit bent out of shape, but that's when you can look on the other side. There's a rough guide for you. Matter of locating all that down, then the same as what we did with the surface here of the brow, at the back of the head. Just go over with the masking tape. Alright, almost done there. And yes, sometimes when working the masking tape, just carefully do one a little rub down at a time, and then conform to the shape using your fingernail, or as per mentioned, a bit of a tool like a bit of a popsicle stick or some other sculpting tool there. And yes, you may find it's not a perfect duplication of the other side. It's just more or less to give you a bit of a filling inner core for sculpting over. And of course, when using that and making patterns off an object which might have lots of varied detail, when you apply the masking tape to keep the shell form, rub it into, before it goes down, rub it carefully into all the different curves and angles and so forth. Now that way it forms a bit of a memory, you see, of the shape. You can go around and manipulate the form, because it's only soft tin foil, and you can get an element of making things looking a bit more symmetrical overall. So yes, there we go. Cowdell's your uncle there. And so, yes, you might look, before we go spraying on the expanding foam there. Of course, we'll have to make our little masking stop, and of course work out the wire for the ear support, and as well as his long whiskers that hang down just forward of the nose, the nostrils there. And well, I think I need a bit of a break now. All this is taking a bit of energy out of me there. I'm not as spry as I used to be in my youth, of course. All right, well, I'll say a cheerio there, and have a good day or evening wherever you are, and a good journey, everybody.